Last night at this time, we were all over what seemed to be a coordinated leak from the LAPD about Celeste Rivas Hernandez and her rich and famous and much older boyfriend, the singer known as David. While his stage name is spelled with a 4, his legal name is David Anthony Burke, plain and simple. The bombshell this week was that the LAPD sources say investigators now consider David a suspect, which might raise the question, what took him so long? Except that 2.5 months after Celeste's decomposing remains were found in David's Tesla, authorities still aren't saying how the young runaway died or whether anyone else had a hand in it. TMZ, as often happens, was the first in line for that leak. And they say David may not be the only suspect on the investigators' radar. The outlet also reports that David made a quick and mysterious trip to a remote part of Santa Barbara County. That was back in the spring. He apparently set out in the middle of the night. Weird. TMZ says he returned to LA a few hours later. Then I spoke with TMZ's Harvey Levin about all of these new details. Here's our conversation. Harvey, what are the sources in the LAPD suggesting when it comes to this case right now?
Well, we're getting more than suggesting. We know what's going on. So there is not an official cause of death yet because the medical examiner has not ruled, nor have the toxicology reports been given to LAPD. But what I can tell you is that the robbery homicide unit and the investigators looking at this case are viewing this as a homicide and viewing David, the singer, as the suspect.
Well, there's my next question. A suspect, because there was some intimation that was too difficult a job for one person to carry out. So are they thinking that there are more involved?
They believe there is more than one person involved in this based on the way and the manner in which the body was discovered, that it was cut up, and I don't know why, but they believe that it couldn't be the work of just one person.
This weird trip to Santa Barbara County, apparently your sources have unearthed this. Walk me through what it was, when it was, how long it lasted, the whole story behind this trip.
So we are told that in the spring of this year, I can't give you a month, I'm just told the spring, David went to a remote area of Santa Barbara County, which is about 100 miles from where he lives in Los Angeles, a remote area of Santa Barbara County in the middle of the night, and spent a couple of hours there. And that is a hugely important part of this case, the way I understand it. And I don't want to be more specific, but, based on, all the things that are going on, that is a point that seemed to stand out when we got this story, that this Santa Barbara trip is very, very important. Now, what does the Santa Barbara trip mean? Remember, it's spring, and his body wasn't found until early September. So, her body, rather, early September. So we're talking months. So, you could theorize that maybe he went to try and bury a body. Maybe he would have gone to bury a weapon. But if it was a body, why was the body found in the trunk of his car in Los Angeles months and months later? Would they have gone and picked it up and brought it back? Now, there are some people who are saying, well, wait a minute, maybe he took Celeste there and allegedly, did her in there. The reason I don't think that's the case is we were told David went to Santa Barbara County, not they went to Santa Barbara County. And, it makes me think, how would they know David went? If it was just a cell phone, I don't think what they would say David went. I think what we would get is his cell phone pinged in that area. We got the word David. That makes me think there is video from his Tesla, and that they have gotten into the Tesla, and we know they have data from the Tesla, and maybe there is video showing him there, that they could track it there and they could see him there. And I don't know what it is that he did there, and it may well be that the LAPD knows, but we don't know yet.
Well,
But
and
something big happened during that trip.
do they know where he is? At this point, does anyone actually know where David is?
Well, I don't know if the LAPD knows. He was in LA. If he is still here, he is virtually in hiding because there are a lot of paparazzi agencies in LA. And, you know, that photograph is worth a lot to these agencies. So if he's spotted out, they're probably going to get a picture of him. And we haven't seen any of these agencies say, hey, we got a picture of David. So if he's here, he is underground. And I think there's a good chance that maybe he went somewhere else where it's not going to be as, you know, where there aren't going to be these, you know, paparazzi agencies around. But we haven't seen him, and I don't know where he is. I know he was in LA, but that was weeks ago.
What do you think is about to happen? Do you think he's about to be in cuffs?
Well, we were told not in the near future. I don't know what near future means. One of the problems is the medical examiner has not determined cause of death, and they have not given toxicology to LAPD. Even if say the medical examiner comes back and says undetermined, the LAPD could still move forward, and my sense from our reporting is they would. But I'm told, and I don't know what the specifics here are, is that the relationship between the LA County Medical Examiner and the LAPD has not been great over the last few years. And even though they could fast track, if they wanted to, the medical examiner could fast track some of these, the tests that they're doing, my sense is they have not done so because, you know, it can take 3 months easy for something like this, but they could also fast track it. And based on our conversations, that does not seem to have been done. And it may speak to the relationship that LAPD has with the medical examiner. I don't know what's behind it, but that's what I was told.
And my great thanks to Harvey Levin.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.